Don't skip this. Seriously, something important is waiting for you here. Welcome to the channel.
Listen carefully, because what I'm about to share is not for everyone. This message is urgent, and it is only for God's chosen ones. If you do not walk the divine path, if your spirit is not aligned with God's calling, this message will not hold meaning for you. But if you are truly chosen, if you have felt the pull, the pressure, the separation, then you are here because heaven allowed it. This message reached you at the exact moment it was meant to. Not early, not late, right on time. Chosen one, heaven has issued a command concerning you. 9 angels have been ordered to protect you, not just from harm, but from their eyes. From the unseen watchers, from jealousy, from spiritual interference, from things you were never meant to fight alone. You have been covered in ways you don't even realize yet. Stay with me until the end, because what you are about to hear will bring clarity to your confusion, peace to your mind, and strength back to your spirit. Before we continue, chosen ones, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, tap the bell icon so you never miss a message meant for you, and share this with other chosen ones who need confirmation. And comment 999 below to declare that you are aligned with God's divine order and protection. Why you are watched and why heaven intervened. Let me speak to you calmly, clearly, and without fear. You are watched not because you are weak, but because you are marked. And I need you to understand this deeply, because many chosen ones suffer unnecessarily simply because they misinterpret attention as danger instead of recognition. From the moment God places his hand on a life, that life becomes visible in the spiritual realm. Light cannot hide. Purpose cannot stay unnoticed. When God separates someone, the spiritual atmosphere around them changes. You began to feel it long before you could explain it. People started reacting to you without reason. Some admired you quietly. Others resented you openly. Some watched from a distance, unable to understand why your presence disturbed their peace. That was not coincidence. That was confirmation. You are watched because you carry something rare. Not loud, not flashy, but powerful. You carry awareness. You carry discernment. You carry a frequency that disrupts darkness simply by existing. And darkness always notices what threatens it. But let me correct something important. Being watched does not mean you are exposed. Being observed does not mean you are unprotected. Many chosen ones confuse spiritual visibility with vulnerability, and that misunderstanding creates fear, anxiety, and unnecessary mental pressure. Heaven does not mark someone and then abandon them. That is not how God operates. Heaven intervened because the attention around you crossed a threshold, not a dangerous one, but a significant one. When your growth accelerated, when your awareness deepened, when your obedience quietly strengthened, the spiritual weight around your life increased. And where weight increases, resistance follows. That is spiritual law. You didn't imagine the pressure, you didn't exaggerate the heaviness. There were moments when you felt mentally crowded, emotionally drained, or unusually tired without explanation. That was not weakness. That was your soul processing spiritual attention it had never carried before. Understand this. Chosen ones are often watched before they are understood. Watched before they are celebrated. Watched before they are supported. And that watching comes in many forms. Sometimes it looks like envy. Sometimes it looks like constant misunderstanding. Sometimes it feels like people observing you quietly, studying you, waiting for you to fail or succeed so they can explain you to themselves. And sometimes it is not human at all. There are eyes that don't blink, eyes that don't sleep. Spiritual observation that comes from jealousy, insecurity, unresolved darkness, and misplaced curiosity. But here is the truth that should settle your spirit right now. Heaven never allows watching to turn into access. When the watching increased, heaven responded with order, not panic, not reaction. Order. God does not scramble, he assigns. The intervention you experienced did not come because something went wrong. It came because something went right. You were progressing. You were maturing. You were stepping closer to alignment even when you felt uncertain. And when heaven saw that the attention around you was no longer casual but focused, protection was intensified. This is where many chosen ones misunderstand God's timing. They assume intervention only comes in emergencies, but heaven often intervenes in advance, before the blow, before the trap, before the confusion reaches your core. That is why some situations that should have destroyed you only exhausted you. That is why some attacks that should have broken your mind only made you pause. That is why certain plans against you never fully formed. They dissolved before they became real. You were never alone in those moments when you felt watched, judged, or pressured. Heaven was already present. Angels were already positioned. You just hadn't been told yet. And let me say this clearly, without hesitation. Not everyone who watches you wants to harm you. Some watch because they are drawn to your light. Some watch because they are confused by your peace. Some watch because they sense something holy but cannot name it. But heaven does not differentiate when it comes to protection. It covers you from all eyes, good intention or bad, known or unknown. Because even admiration, when mixed with insecurity, can turn into spiritual interference. Heaven intervened because God values your mind. Many attacks against chosen ones are not physical, they are mental. Confusion, doubt, self-questioning, emotional exhaustion. Heaven saw that your mind needed shielding, not isolation, but covering. That is why you've noticed something change recently. You still face challenges, but they don't penetrate as deeply. Words don't sting the same way. Opinions don't destabilize you like before. You feel pressure, but it doesn't own you. That is not numbness. That is protection. You are watched, yes, but you are watched through layers of divine security. And here is something you need to hear slowly. Being watched does not mean you are in danger. It means you are in transition. When God moves someone from preparation into positioning, attention increases. That is when heaven reinforces the perimeter. This is why heaven intervened now and not later. Not because you cried loud enough, not because you asked perfectly, but because the timing of your life demanded it. You didn't miss God. God anticipated you. So relax your shoulders. Release the fear you didn't even realize you were carrying. You are not being hunted. You are being guarded. And the same eyes that observe you are limited by the authority that covers you. Heaven stepped in, not because you are fragile, but because you are valuable. And I want you to understand something even deeper, something that will calm your spirit if you let it sink in. The reason heaven intervened quietly is because loud protection would have distracted you. If God had shown you every angelic movement around your life, your focus would have shifted from growth to survival. And you were never meant to live in survival mode. Chosen ones are not trained through fear. They are trained through awareness. That is why protection came subtly. You began to lose interest in chaos. You stepped back from arguments that once pulled you in. Certain people drifted away without confrontation. Some doors closed without explanation. That was not loss. That was clearance. Heaven was reducing unnecessary exposure. You may have noticed that even when people speak against you now, it doesn't fully reach your heart. It passes by. You observe it instead of absorbing it. That is not emotional distance. That is divine buffering. Your spirit has been insulated so your purpose can remain intact. Heaven intervened because distraction was becoming a greater threat than attack. Too many eyes create noise. Too many opinions create confusion. And confusion is the most common weapon used against those who are chosen. So God did what he always does with his elect. He didn't remove the world. He strengthened your inner walls. He placed guards where your thoughts enter. He limited access to your peace. You are watched, yes, but you are also filtered. Not everything meant for you reaches you anymore, and that is how you know heaven is involved. The meaning of the 9 angels and divine order. Now let me guide you into understanding something sacred, something structured, something far more intentional than most people realize. When heaven assigns 9 angels, it is not symbolic poetry. It is not random comfort language. It is divine order in motion. God does nothing casually. Heaven does nothing without structure. And protection is never emotional. It is administrative. The number 9 carries weight in the spiritual realm. It represents completion, authority, and final preparation before transition. 9 is not the beginning. It is the stage just before manifestation. That means something in your life is being sealed, stabilized, and secured. Not rushed, not forced. Secured. When heaven assigns angels, it does not assign them to hover aimlessly. Each angel operates with precision. Each one carries a specific assignment. Some guard your mind, some guard your timing, some stand at the borders of your life, preventing access you never asked for but don't need. Some are assigned to confusion itself, ensuring it never fully forms inside you. You must understand this clearly. Angels are not sent because you are failing. They are sent because you are advancing. When a chosen one reaches a certain level of awareness, the spiritual environment around them becomes more complex. With complexity comes the need for order, and heaven answers complexity with structure. 9 angels indicate layered protection. Not one guard at the door, but an entire system. A perimeter, an inner watch, an outer boundary. A spiritual intelligence that monitors movement, intention, and influence around your life. That is why things that once slipped through no longer do. That is why manipulation feels obvious now. That is why certain conversations suddenly exhaust you before they begin. You are not becoming antisocial, you are becoming ordered. Divine order does not mean your life becomes quiet. It means your life becomes clear. Chaos loses access. Confusion loses authority. Distraction loses appeal. And when heaven installs order, it does not ask for your permission. It simply does what is necessary to preserve the assignment on your life. Let me say something that may correct a misunderstanding you've carried. Angels do not protect you from reality. They protect you from distortion. They ensure that what enters your life serves your growth, not your delay. That is why some opportunities disappear even when they looked good. That is why some connections fade even when they felt comfortable. Comfort is not always alignment. The 9 angels are not standing around waiting for you to be perfect. They are responding to your willingness, your obedience in silence, your resilience when no one clapped, your decision to keep going when clarity was thin. Heaven noticed consistency more than confidence. And here is where divine order becomes personal. Each angelic assignment corresponds to a dimension of your life that has already been tested, not future problems, past battles, areas where you almost broke, where you questioned yourself, where you carried more than you should have. Heaven does not waste protection on theory. It protects what matters. One angel stands where your thoughts enter. That is why intrusive doubt has lost its sharpness. Another stands where emotional attachments form. That is why you no longer bond easily with just anyone. Another stands in your discernment, sharpening your intuition so deception feels loud and truth feels calm. This is not accidental. This is strategic. Divine order also means limits. Angels enforce boundaries you sometimes struggle to enforce yourself. They block calls. They delay meetings. They create distance without drama. And sometimes they allow discomfort so you don't settle where you don't belong. Protection does not always feel gentle, but it is always precise. Now listen carefully. Heaven assigns 9 angels not to impress you, but to stabilize you. You were carrying too much internally, too many questions, too many interpretations, too many emotional weights that were not yours. Order was required, and order has arrived. That is why your spirit feels quieter even when your life is busy. That is why your reactions are slower, but your understanding is faster. That is why you observe more than you explain. Divine order changes posture before it changes position. Angels do not interfere with free will, but they influence environment. They adjust timing. They soften blows. They redirect outcomes. They ensure that what is meant for you reaches you intact, and what is not meant for you never fully reaches you at all. 9 angels also represent agreement. Heaven is unified concerning you. There is no debate about your protection, no uncertainty about your worth, no confusion about your assignment. Agreement in heaven produces authority on earth, and when heaven agrees, resistance loses leverage. You may have wondered why certain spiritual attacks stopped escalating, why some cycles simply ended without closure, Why old patterns lost their grip without explanation. That is what happens when order replaces chaos, when structure replaces survival, when heaven takes over what you were never meant to manage alone. This divine order also means restraint. Not everything you could do is allowed. Not every reaction you feel is permitted. Not every word you think should be spoken. Angels assist with restraint because restraint preserves power. Silence preserves authority. Timing preserves impact. You are not being slowed, you are being refined. Let me say this plainly. The 9 angels are not guarding your ego, they are guarding your assignment. They are not protecting your comfort, they are protecting your calling. And that calling requires clarity, stability, and spiritual maturity. This is why emotional chaos feels foreign now. Drama feels unnecessary. Noise feels heavy. Your spirit has tasted order, and it no longer craves confusion. Divine order also explains why you feel watched but not threatened, observed but not invaded. You sense attention, but it doesn't penetrate. That is layered protection at work. That is heaven saying, you can look, but you cannot touch. And finally, understand this. The presence of 9 angels does not mean your journey becomes easy. It means your journey becomes secure. You will still walk, you will still choose, you will still grow, but you will not be dismantled by forces you cannot see. Heaven has ordered your environment because your life is entering a phase that requires stability. And stability is not passive, it is enforced. So rest in this truth. You are not holding yourself together alone anymore. Divine order has taken over. And when heaven orders something, it stays ordered, protected from what they cannot see or understand. Now, let me take you deeper, because this is where many chosen ones finally breathe again. You are not only protected from what they can see, you are protected from what they cannot see, cannot understand, and cannot control. And that kind of protection is the most important kind. Most threats to a chosen one never arrive loudly. They don't announce themselves. They don't come dressed as enemies. They arrive subtly, quietly, through confusion, misinterpretation, emotional overload, and mental fatigue. Darkness rarely tries to overpower a chosen one head-on. It tries to wear them down slowly, hoping they will doubt themselves before they realize what's happening. That is why heaven's protection focuses heavily on what is unseen. You are protected from conversations that never happen, from plans that never form fully, from intentions that collapse before they become actions, from thoughts planted in other people's minds that dissolve before they turn into words. You will never know how many times something was stopped before it reached you, and that is intentional. Knowing too much would disturb your peace. Chosen one, some of the danger you were protected from was not even malicious. It was ignorance. People projecting their wounds onto you, people misunderstanding your silence, people mislabeling your boundaries. Heaven shielded you from internalizing distortions that would have reshaped how you see yourself. One of the greatest protections you've received is protection of identity. There were moments when confusion tried to rewrite your self-image, when you questioned whether you were too sensitive, too distant, too intense, or not enough. That was not random insecurity. That was pressure attempting to blur your clarity. And heaven intervened there quietly. Thoughts lost momentum. Doubts didn't linger like they used to. You began to recover faster. That is angelic protection working at the level of the mind. You are also protected from emotional entanglements you cannot see forming. Connections that would have drained you. Attachments that would have distracted you. Relationships that would have delayed you. Some people felt promising at first, but something always stopped it from fully developing. That was not bad timing. That was divine filtering. Angels do not only guard against attack, they guard against entanglement. You are protected from spiritual interference that operates through exhaustion. Chosen ones are often targeted when they are tired, overwhelmed, or emotionally stretched. That is when discernment weakens. Heaven recognized when your load became heavy and adjusted your environment accordingly. That is why rest suddenly became necessary. Why solitude felt healing instead of lonely. Why your body demanded stillness. That was not burnout. That was recalibration. There are also unseen dangers in words. Words spoken about you. Words spoken over you. Words spoken around you. Some words carry weight. Some carry intention. Some carry envy disguised as curiosity. Heaven filters those words before they settle. That is why some criticism no longer penetrates. It reaches your ears, but not your spirit. You are protected from absorbing what was never meant to shape you. And let me say something that may surprise you. You are even protected from your own overthinking. Angels intervene when your thoughts spiral too far ahead. That is why some worries lose energy quickly now. That is why certain anxieties fade instead of growing. That is why your mind returns to center faster than before. That is not you getting stronger alone. That is support. Protection also extends to timing. You are protected from premature exposure, from being seen too soon, from being misunderstood at the wrong stage, from being celebrated before you are stable. Many chosen ones are damaged not by attack, but by early attention. Heaven delays visibility until your inner foundation can support it. That is why progress sometimes feels slow even when you are ready. Heaven is protecting you from the cost of being seen before you are fortified. You are also protected from spiritual mimicry. There are energies that imitate light but lack depth. Teachings that sound spiritual but dilute truth. Paths that feel appealing but lead to stagnation. Angels assist in discernment so that what feels off is quickly recognized. You don't need to analyze everything anymore. Your spirit responds faster than your logic. That is divine intelligence at work. There are things they cannot see because they do not operate at your depth. They cannot understand your silence because they live in noise. They cannot understand your restraint because they chase reaction. They cannot understand your peace because they survive on chaos. And heaven protects you from trying to explain yourself to those who cannot perceive you. That is a mercy. You are protected from the pressure to perform spiritually, from proving your faith, from explaining your calling, from justifying your boundaries. Heaven knows that overexposure leads to depletion. So it hides you when necessary. It covers you when silence is safer than speech. Some of the most dangerous moments in your life were moments when you almost explained yourself too much, when you almost compromised your truth to be understood. Angels intervened there too. Conversations shifted, opportunities passed, distance was created. Protection does not always feel like comfort. Sometimes it feels like interruption. You are also protected from unseen cycles repeating, patterns that ran in your family line, emotional habits that would have followed you into adulthood, thought patterns that could have limited your growth. Heaven does not only protect you from external forces, it protects you from inherited burdens. That is generational mercy. And here is something very important. You are protected from spiritual retaliation. When your light exposes what others hide, retaliation can form, not always consciously. Sometimes it manifests as passive resistance, subtle hostility, or silent opposition. Heaven does not allow retaliation to reach you unchecked. It redirects it, diffuses it, neutralizes it. That is why some people simply fade away instead of confronting you. That is why tension dissolves instead of escalating. That is why what could have turned into conflict simply never does. You are protected from what they cannot see, but also from what you cannot see. From paths that look right but lead nowhere. From decisions that feel logical but are misaligned. From choices that satisfy the mind but starve the soul. Angels influence decisions by influencing clarity. And finally, understand this. Protection does not remove challenge. It removes destruction. You will still face resistance, but it will not consume you. You will still feel pressure, but it will not crush you. You will still walk through uncertainty, but you will not lose yourself there. What they cannot see or understand is that your life is being supervised by heaven, not monitored in fear, but guarded in love. Every unseen threat is met with unseen defense. Every hidden intention is answered with hidden restraint. So rest your mind. You are not exposed. You are enveloped, and the protection around you operates in realms no human eye could ever reach. Why your life has felt isolated, heavy, or misunderstood? Let me speak to the part of you that has carried questions in silence. the part that wondered why your life has felt heavier than it should, quieter than expected, and lonelier than you ever imagined. This was not an accident, and it was not because you were doing something wrong. Isolation is one of heaven's most misunderstood tools. Chosen one, your isolation was not rejection. It was protection. It was refinement. It was preparation. When God separates a life, it is never to punish. It is to preserve. You were not pulled away because you didn't belong. You were pulled away because you carried something that could not survive constant exposure. There are things in you that would have been diluted if you stayed surrounded by noise. There are truths you would have compromised just to feel included. Heaven saw that early and intervened. That is why friendships faded without conflict, why certain spaces stopped feeling comfortable, why conversations began to feel shallow even when they were once familiar. You were not becoming difficult. You were becoming precise. The heaviness you felt was not always sadness. Sometimes it was responsibility. Carrying awareness before having language for it can feel like weight. You sensed things others didn't. You felt shifts in energy. You noticed inconsistencies. But you had no place to put that understanding. So it settled inside you. And unexpressed awareness can feel like burden. Heaven allowed that heaviness for a season, not to break you, but to deepen you. You were learning discernment without instruction. You were learning restraint without praise. You were learning endurance without explanation. That kind of learning always feels lonely because it cannot be taught through crowds. It requires solitude. And then there is the misunderstanding. Chosen ones are often misunderstood because they speak from depth in a world addicted to surface. Your silence was interpreted as distance. Your boundaries were labeled as coldness. Your refusal to engage in drama was mistaken for pride. But heaven was not concerned with labels. It was concerned with alignment. You didn't lose people because you failed. You lost people because you changed. Some could not follow you where you were going because they were comfortable where they were. And heaven will never force someone to grow just to keep you company. That would damage both of you. There were times you felt emotionally heavy for no clear reason. That was not depression. That was transition. When an old identity begins to dissolve and a new one has not fully formed yet, there is an in-between space. That space feels uncomfortable, unstable, quiet. But it is necessary. You were shedding versions of yourself that no longer fit your assignment. Misunderstanding also came from you not explaining yourself, and that was intentional. Not everyone deserves access to your process. Some people only want the results, not the journey. Heaven protected you by limiting who could witness your becoming. That is why you often felt unseen even when you were present. You were visible physically but hidden spiritually. That can feel painful, but it is sacred. Chosen one, your isolation also trained your relationship with God. When people step back, prayer steps forward. When voices quiet down, discernment grows louder. When external validation disappears, internal authority begins to form. If you had been constantly surrounded, you would have leaned on people. Instead, you learned to lean on God. That was not accidental. That was foundational. The heaviness also came from resisting isolation instead of understanding it. You questioned why life felt slower, why joy felt quieter, why excitement felt muted. Heaven was teaching you depth over stimulation, stability over excitement, peace over adrenaline. That lesson always feels heavy before it feels freeing. You were misunderstood because your spirit matured faster than your environment. You outgrew spaces emotionally before you left them physically. That creates friction. Others feel the shift before they understand it, and when people don't understand change, they often resist it. But heaven does not adjust your growth to preserve comfort. There were moments when you tried to reconnect, to explain yourself, to fit back in. And every time something felt off, conversations drained you. Interactions felt forced. That was your spirit rejecting what your mind was trying to hold on to. Isolation taught you to listen to that signal. The weight you carried also included other people's expectations. You felt responsible for being stable, strong, understanding. You became the listener, the supporter, the calm presence. but very few asked how you were. That imbalance creates heaviness. Heaven saw that imbalance and corrected it by removing access. Misunderstanding also protected you from being defined by others. When people cannot categorize you, they cannot control you. When they misunderstand you, they lose influence over you. That distance allowed you to discover who you are without constant commentary. And here is the truth you need to hear. You were never meant to be understood by everyone. You were meant to be aligned. Understanding follows alignment, not the other way around. Isolation does not last forever. It lasts until the foundation is strong enough to support connection without compromise. You are not being hidden to be forgotten. You are being hidden to be fortified. The heaviness will lift. The misunderstanding will clear. The isolation will transform into discernment. And when connection returns, it will be healthier, quieter, and rooted in truth. You were not alone because you were abandoned. You were alone because heaven was doing careful work in you. How to stay aligned with this heavenly protection. Now, listen to me carefully. Because this part is not about effort. It is about alignment. Heavenly protection does not respond to striving. It responds to posture. Many chosen ones think they must do more, pray harder, fight stronger, or stay constantly alert to remain protected. That mindset creates anxiety, not alignment. Protection is not sustained by fear. It is sustained by obedience and inner stillness. The first way you stay aligned is by honoring peace when it appears. When heaven creates quiet in your life, do not rush to fill it. Silence is not emptiness. It is instruction. Many of you were trained by chaos, so calm feels unfamiliar. But peace is the environment where divine guidance becomes clear. If something costs you your peace, it costs too much. That is not avoidance. That is wisdom. Alignment also means trusting redirection without demanding explanation. When something doesn't work out, resist the urge to chase closure. Closure is not always verbal. Sometimes closure is simply the absence of access. Heaven removes certain paths because continuing on them would require you to compromise clarity. Accepting that without resentment keeps you aligned. You must also stay aligned by guarding what you consume mentally, what you listen to, what you watch, what you entertain in thought. Protection does not mean immunity from influence. It means you are given awareness so you can choose wisely. Not everything deserves your attention. Not every opinion deserves space in your mind. Discernment is your responsibility, even when protection is present. Another key to alignment is restraint in speech. Chosen ones weaken their protection when they explain themselves excessively. Words carry energy. When you speak prematurely, you invite interpretation before timing allows understanding. Silence is not secrecy, it is maturity. Say less, observe more. Let actions speak in seasons where words would only invite distortion. Alignment also requires you to respect your limits. Fatigue dulls discernment. Overcommitment opens unnecessary doors. Heaven protects you, but it also expects stewardship of your body and mind. Rest is not laziness. It is maintenance. When you ignore rest, you create vulnerability. Not because God withdraws, but because clarity diminishes. Stay aligned by honoring intuition without overanalyzing it. Your discernment has been sharpened through experience. You don't need proof for every feeling. When something feels off, step back. When something feels forced, pause. Alignment often looks like non-action. Waiting, watching, letting things reveal themselves. Another essential part of alignment is forgiveness. Not for them, for you. Unforgiveness creates internal noise. Noise interferes with clarity. You don't have to reconnect. You don't have to explain. You simply have to release the emotional hold. Protection operates best in a clean inner environment. Avoid spiritual performance. You do not need to prove how faithful, disciplined, or strong you are. Heaven already knows your heart. Performative spirituality attracts unnecessary attention. Quiet faith preserves authority. Your consistency matters more than visibility. Alignment also means accepting that not everyone will walk with you into the next season. Do not drag old connections into new spaces. That strains protection. Some people were assigned to a chapter, not the whole book. Release without bitterness. Gratitude keeps alignment intact. You also stay aligned by resisting urgency that is not divine. Not every opportunity is meant to be seized. Some are distractions dressed as progress. Heaven's timing is calm. It does not rush you. If something pressures you into immediate commitment without clarity, step back. True alignment never panics. Be careful with emotional exposure. Vulnerability is sacred, not public. Share wisely. Oversharing invites misunderstanding. Angels protect you, but wisdom teaches you where to open and where to guard. Stay aligned by returning to prayer not as a request, but as a relationship. You don't always need answers. Sometimes you just need presence. That connection keeps your spirit tuned to heaven's frequency. Finally, alignment is sustained by trust. Not blind trust. Informed trust. You have survived enough to know God is consistent. When you stop trying to control outcomes, protection flows more freely. Control creates tension. Trust creates alignment. Heaven has done its part. Your role is not to interfere with fear, overthinking, or impatience. Walk steadily. Move slowly. Choose peace. Let protection do what it was assigned to do. Alignment is not dramatic. It is quiet. And quiet is where heaven works best. And let me add something that many chosen ones overlook, yet it is critical to staying aligned with heavenly protection. You must learn to release the need to constantly check your progress. Obsession with results pulls your attention away from presence. When you keep measuring how far you've come, or how far you still need to go, you step out of alignment and into pressure. Heaven moves in seasons, not schedules. Trust the pace that has been set for you. Another way to remain aligned is by honoring simplicity. Chosen ones often complicate their lives trying to be prepared for every possibility. But protection thrives in simplicity. Fewer commitments, clear priorities, clean intentions. When your life is cluttered, your discernment becomes clouded. Simplifying is not shrinking. It is strengthening. You also stay aligned by respecting emotional signals instead of suppressing them. When you feel irritation, heaviness, or resistance, don't ignore it and don't dramatize it. Investigate it quietly. Emotions are indicators, not enemies. They reveal where alignment may be slipping and where attention is needed. Pay attention to how your body responds to people and environments. Your spirit often speaks through physical cues before your mind understands. Tension, exhaustion, or restlessness are messages. Alignment grows when you listen early instead of pushing through. And finally, remember this. You do not maintain protection by being perfect. You maintain it by being honest. Honest with God, honest with yourself, honest about what drains you and what restores you. Heaven supports sincerity, not performance. Stay grounded, stay aware, stay gentle with yourself. Alignment is not something you achieve once and keep forever. It is something you return to daily. And each time you choose peace over pressure, clarity over chaos, and trust over fear, you step back into the flow of divine protection that has already been assigned to you. What happens next in the life of a protected chosen one? Now let me tell you what begins to unfold once protection is firmly in place, because this is where many chosen ones feel both relief and unfamiliar calm. When heaven secures a life, the next phase is not chaos. It is clarity. Not loud clarity, but steady understanding. Things begin to make sense without effort. You stop forcing insight. It arrives naturally. The first thing that happens is internal stability. Your emotions become less reactive, not numb, stable. You still feel deeply, but you are no longer controlled by every feeling. Triggers lose their power. Old patterns don't pull you the way they used to. You begin responding instead of reacting. That shift alone changes the trajectory of your life. With protection comes discernment that feels effortless. You no longer have to analyze every situation. You sense truth quickly, Decisions become simpler, not easier, but cleaner. You know when to engage and when to step back. You stop explaining your choices because clarity removes the need for validation. Another thing that happens is that time feels different. You stop rushing. You stop feeling behind. You stop comparing your journey to others. Protected chosen ones move at heaven's pace, not the world's pressure. And heaven's pace always feels slower at first, until you realize it is precise. Relationships begin to shift again, but this time with intention. New connections enter that feel calm, not chaotic. Familiar, not demanding. Conversations feel grounding instead of draining. You are no longer drawn to intensity for the sake of feeling alive. Peace becomes attractive. Opportunities also change. They stop appearing flashy and start appearing aligned. You notice that what comes to you now requires integrity, patience, and responsibility. Protection often precedes assignment. Heaven does not elevate without stability. What is coming into your life next will require you to be grounded, not impressed. You may notice that you are trusted more. People sense your steadiness. They seek your counsel. They open up around you. This is not because you speak more, but because you listen better. Presence becomes your authority. Another sign of this phase is that your prayers change. You stop asking for rescue and start asking for wisdom. You stop begging for signs and start recognizing them. Faith becomes less emotional and more rooted. You trust God without needing constant reassurance. There will also be moments of testing, but these tests feel different. They are not meant to break you. They are meant to confirm you. Situations will arise that resemble old patterns, but your response will be different. That is how you know growth has occurred. Protected chosen ones also experience solitude differently. Alone time becomes restorative, not empty. You enjoy your own company. You don't feel the need to fill silence. That inner comfort is a sign of maturity. You will also notice a decrease in unnecessary struggle. Not because life becomes easy, but because you stop fighting what doesn't matter. Energy is preserved. Focus sharpens. You begin choosing your battles wisely. As this phase continues, you may feel called to serve in subtle ways. Encouraging someone, guiding quietly, standing firm in truth without preaching. Influence increases when ego decreases. And here is something important. Elevation does not always look like visibility. Sometimes it looks like trust, responsibility, quiet leadership. Heaven values impact over applause. Finally, what happens next is peace. Not the absence of problems, but the absence of fear. You know you are covered. You know you are guided. You know you are not walking blindly. A protected chosen one does not rush the future. They walk steadily into it, knowing heaven has already gone ahead. Conclusion. Stand still and let heaven work. Chosen one, as you reach this moment, I want you to settle your spirit and hear this clearly. You do not need to fight for what God has already secured. You do not need to rush what heaven has already ordered. There is a time to move, and there is a time to stand still. This is a season of stillness with purpose. Everything you have felt, the protection, the separation, the clarity, the quiet strength, it was not imagined. Heaven has been working while you were resting, guarding while you were healing, arranging while you were waiting, and what God orders, no human opinion can undo. Stand still, not in fear, but in trust. Stillness does not mean stagnation. It means confidence. It means knowing that what is meant for you will reach you without force. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are not exposed. You are covered, guided, and watched over with intention. Let go of the need to explain yourself. Let go of the pressure to prove anything. Let heaven speak through your life instead of your mouth. The right people will recognize your peace. The right doors will open without resistance. The right timing will feel calm, not chaotic. Before you go, chosen ones, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, tap the bell icon so you never miss a message meant for you, and share this with another chosen one who needs reassurance today. And comment 444 below to declare that you trust God's divine order, protection, and perfect timing over your life. Stand still now. Heaven is working.